Greetings from the fireside. Welcome everybody to day 3 of BlizzCon opening weekend. We have 16 players gathered from around the world to battle out for $1 million in prizes. Today we're going to find out who gets one step closer through to the round of 8 and who has to keep playing on. To with me on stage we have 8 competitors, all who have won their first matches, and today we'll be playing in the winner spots of their groups. Let's go ahead and introduce them. Starting from the far right, our last match of the day we have from Nevada, USA, it's Hot Meowth representing Team Tespa up against his opponent Omega Zero from China. Our third match of the day promised to be a really exciting one as we have the Young Savage Amnesiac from Team NRG also up against Dr. Hippie from Ukraine. On our far left, we have our second match of the day, hailing from Korea, the only Korean member to advance to the winner's match. We have Chon Soo up against his opponent from Boston, Massachusetts. It's BB Gun Gun. Our first match of the day promises to also be an exciting one. We have Jasonyhou, the Control Warrior God from China, up against Cydonia, the Rising Star from Canada. And that's all I have for you guys. Please exit to the right, gentlemen, and prepare for your matches. In the meantime, Cydonia and Jason, let's have a couple of words before your match. Now, Cydonia, you told me that you had something pretty interesting happen to you this morning, so why don't you go ahead and share with us what's going through your mind?
Yeah, I was just waiting for the elevator this morning. Took a while, so I'm like, oh, maybe it's busy. There's a lot of people. I get in and there's Jason. So we had a friendly chat, and after this talk, I feel very confident about our match.
Oh, do you guys want to share what you talked about, or is that secret?
Yeah, it's just going to be between us for now, yeah.
Ooh, all right. So you guys keeping some secrets. Only you two know. Jason, do you have anything to reply to that? Do you want to spill the beans, or is it going to be kept secret until the day you die?
That's just some joke, so I don't think it matters. But Cydonia bans some cards I didn't expect it to, so I kind of worried about it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you guys were joking about banning cards for your match. Sounds really fun, but there's no jokes here. It's all serious. If you're able to win, to go on to the round of 8. So go ahead, shake hands. Good luck on both sides. May the best man win. Let's get day number 3 underway.
My next opponent is Jason, the Chinese player. I know he's pretty big in China. He has a reputation as a pretty strong player.
My next opponent would be Cydonia. I know he's come from Canada. I feel like he plays pretty well.
I think the next match is going to be pretty difficult.
I think all my deck can beat his Temple Mage.
I'm not nervous about any of Jason's decks. For Jason to beat me in the next match, he will need the perfect card at the perfect time.
To win the World Championship is kind of like to prove myself. I just want to maybe be one of the best players.
This is a great opportunity to be on stage. For me, this is really fun. It's also really interesting to be able to look at my opponent, and they're always usually more stressed out than I am, so looking at them always calms me down.
I did feel a lot of pressure from the fans in China.
Jason, I know you're playing on a big team in China. You have a lot of people rooting for you, and I know it's a lot of pressure for you, so I hope that all this pressure is going to make you crack.
It's day 3 here at opening week. Match number 1 is about to get underway. Every single winner today will advance to the top 8 at BlizzCon. I'm Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora, and joining me is James Firebat Kostasich. And Firebat, I know that you have some wonderful things to say about this match. You're saying it's pretty heavily in Cydonia's favor.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I've been doing some analysis on the deck lists, kind of breaking down a lot of things, putting some notes in for key cards, and the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, wow, Cydonia's lineup is very well prepared for this group. Expecting a lot of rogues in this group with, you know, Handsome Guy, Jasonyhou, and Tice, all being players that often lean on that rogue sort of class, and he's included so many great techs in his decks to help him beat that, including like double snipe in the Hunter, double Feral Rage Moonglade Portal in the Druid to help him have the out-heal win condition against Rogue. It's going to be tough for Jason to make this Rogue work.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's a great point that you made too, is the tech choices making the big difference here. It's not always about matchups. That certainly influences things, but few tech choices can really change the outcome of this. And having water elementals to shut off weapons from the warrior side, having those 2 snipes to throw off the tempo from the Rogue, having the extra healing in the Druid to buy time, those are important factors against Jasonyhou's Rogue deck, because as you said, you pointed this out to me before the match, there's 22 total burst damage available. That's it.
And so he's going to need to be able to connect minion damage. Those conceals are going to need to get a lot of value, but even just throwing the Rogue out the window, if we pause for a minute on that and we look at the warrior build from Jasonyhou, he's a warrior expert. He loves the class. 20,000 control warrior wins, but he's got to plow through, you know, a Cthulhu warrior, which is traditionally super favored against control warrior. He's going to have to plow through a druid, which typically has a slight edge against control warrior. And then he's got to plow through potentially Hunter, which the mid-range variant has always been favored against warrior as well. So he just doesn't have great matchups all around in the series. And the lineup building by Cydonia is quite superior for the matchup, I think.
We'll see how it ends up panning out. We saw this match yesterday. A similar style. Of course, it was the Cthulhu Mirror instead of the Control N'Zoth Warrior versus Cthulhu. What are the major differences that you're looking for when it's a Cthulhu versus a more traditional style than the Cthulhu Mirror?
A lot of times the Cthulhu then has the extra win condition as they can kind of always be the aggressor because they have more value in the deck. So with things like the triple Cthulhu plan, they can honestly just cycle their deck freely and have inevitability with just so much more power in the deck than the N'Zoth Warrior has.
And how much does Sylvanas influence something like that? You know, if Jasonyhou's able to get Sylvanas actually dead on his side, it means he's got a second one coming up with a N'Zoth. How much does that impact the matchup?
Well, oftentimes it's very tricky to get your own Sylvanas dead to rely on it for N'Zoth because you have to save it for response for their Cthulhu's or, you know, their own Sylvanas. So it gets very tricky to sort of make that happen. But it's obviously something you're looking to try and do, get your own Death Rattles dead. You really want to get your Karen dead. You really want to get your Sylvanas dead. You do not want them taken away by Cydonia's Sylvanas because that'll end up having you result in one less at the end of the game because N'Zoth won't bring it back.
And this is a tech choice I want to talk about that just came into Jason's hand as well with the Tinkmaster. Tinkmaster, clearly a card that is best at taking out stealthed targets from a rogue side, but also very strong at eliminating gigantic threats that are, you know, single target on the board at times. How much does that impact things? I mean, basically, it's shaping up to be a giant macro game.
Yeah, if we look at like the extra removal that presents, now you have Jason has 2 executes, 2 shield slams, and the Tinkmaster that can remove big threats from Cydonia's side. In Cydonia's deck list, you know, you're looking at the 3 Cthulhu's, the Doom Caller, and the Twin Emperors, and Sylvanas. And I guess there is potential for Jason to actually have enough removal, if Brawls can remove some of those threats, that he can actually just have enough removal to potentially win the Fatigue plan if Cydonia tries to draw and be the aggressor. But so far what we've noticed is Cydonia's holding on to the Acolyte. He's being very patient. He might be trying to take it to Fatigue himself.
Yeah, he is going first this game, and so Jason is naturally down a card. And in case you've never seen one of these beasts before, just buckle in. It's a long game. A lot of armor up, a lot of nothing. Both players trying to find the right time to have a favorable position. And here, Jason, right away using Revenge. Not a key card in this matchup, and he's using that simply to keep hand size control.
Yeah, you just don't want to overextend and be the first one playing action onto the board. If you were the first one initiating something onto the board, then your opponent gets to respond to it first, and they can oftentimes respond to it in the most efficient way possible because they have such a large percentage of their deck in their hand, and your minion is not trading favorably in that instance.
Yep, Gorehowl here for Cydonia is available. He is aware there's a Harrison Jones in Jason's side of the build, though. So I imagine if he's going to play the Gorehowl, he would like to be able to kill a minion with it the turn it happens. So that if it gets Harrisoned, it's not just a free value. He's actually just going to return the same play that Jason made.
Yep, taking it extremely slow, being extremely patient. And I really like this. Oftentimes, you know, the Cthulhu Warrior can be the aggressor in the matchup, but I think you win more percentage than not just taking the slow game, being extremely patient.
And that's probably the most important draw that we've seen thus far. Justicar Trueheart very early on for Jason means that if this goes to the long game, he's got that armor advantage. So even if he's a card behind in fatigue, the Justicar could offset this because it's here so early.
Sure. It usually needs to get up to, 15 to 20 armor to actually upset half a draw of fatigue. That's how much the fatigue count really gets to towards the end of the game. So it's going to take a lot of, Cydonia not having the tank up. But Cydonia taking 6 damage here is actually really huge. It's a lot of minion damage, and that's going to make that armor count get to that difference very quickly.
There's that Harrison, but is there a card to couple with it? I look at this spot and I wonder if Jason even wants to draw a card.
I don't think you do.
We were discussing this matchup this morning, and a lot of times the Harrison can be a liability if it's going to fatigue. And so you actually want Harrison to sneak in while there is no weapon on your opponent's side.
Yeah, so it would have been great, I guess, if the Gorehowl didn't hit a minion and Jason had like a hand that could really tempo out Cydonia, but he doesn't have a hand that can, support that. He doesn't have the greatest bomb train in the world, and he doesn't have the greatest deck for having a bomb train. So he's going to be patient here. He's just going to keep playing towards that fatigue out and try and build up his N'Zoth over the course of the game, I imagine.
Cthulhu in hand, no Cthulhu buffs.
It's okay. It allows Cydonia to get this Emperor out because he's getting the proc on the Brand, and he's getting a proc on the Cthulhu and the Shield Slam. So now he's got the ability to kill his own Cthulhu going forward.
Harrison will hit here. Honestly, it's important to have all those cards discounted too, because now he can couple the Doomcaller with Bran. He's able to easily kill his own Cthulhu if it comes to that, to try to make it larger later in case Jason hasn't played Tinkmaster or Sylvanas yet. A lot of little things going on in that spot.
Yeah, just a little bit awkward here for Cydonia as he doesn't have his Cthulhu really too large. It's not yet activated. It's not large enough so that it could knock off the armor of Jason, so he has to fear just constantly the threat of Sylvanas Shield Slam. And as Jason is now approaching 10 mana, he has the threat of Sylvanas Brawl as well to potentially try and take a Cthulhu.
Yep, since he's got the coin available, that is a big deal. That's a very big deal in this matchup, actually.
Yeah, it's super weird. He might even just develop an Ancient Shield Bearer. He's thinking about potentially having to utilize one of the premium removals in Shield Slam. You don't want to be taking 5 every turn. As much as damage is fairly, not too relevant in this game, as you see, like, everything gets to such high life totals. Cydonia already took 6 from a Justicar Trueheart, and if he's taking 5 every turn from this Harrison, and Jason has the tank up, that can actually start mattering.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the weapons are good because they threaten your opponent from dealing repetitive damage over and over again. Ravaging Ghoul doesn't quite do the same. It's a light spawn, and suddenly the test is on Cydonia. He's got to actually expend something here. And there's the first Cthulhu buff drawn, but sitting at 8-8 after that, those Ancient Shield Bearers, you need that extra armor in this matchup if it's going to go long.
Yeah, you certainly do. You certainly do. He has the advantage in the fact that Jason's, a full, card now ahead in fatigue because he did end up drawing a little bit earlier, but off the Harrison Jones. But still, you got a lot of ground to work up.
Is my shield.
I mean, I'm curious about this. Is he just taking the damage, or is he going to Shield Slam? He's taking it.
He's just taking the damage, being extremely patient, just trying to save his removal for the key targets that he knows he needs to use it on.
I think wise of Jason to go ahead and trade here.
You just play around Brawl a little bit, keep his board size to a minimum. He's trying to force Cydonia to have to use one of those Shield Slams or Executes, so then he doesn't have enough removal for some of the real threats in his deck. So he wants to try and just pinpoint those removal spells, so his entire game plan is focused around kind of making Brawl a useless card at this point.
That'll be the 10-10 Cthulhu now. Back-to-back draws for the buffs here. And Ancient Shield Bearer finally going to come down. But here's the thing. Cydonia's having to use fairly real cards to contest this board. So far, Jason has basically just used utility. And he's pulled the first threat now. And this is where it looks like he's going to attack back. Grom is very much a value card in this matchup.
Yeah, what's great about Grom is it comes onto the field and you get to use it to kill a minion, and then your opponent's like, well, Grom's still there. I have to use another card to kill it. So you're essentially gaining a card out of the equation there by killing one of your opponent's cards and then forcing them to use a removal on it. Not too much help with an Acolyte of Pain.
Not at all. I mean, this is a weird spot.
Yeah, it might be time to finally have to bust out one of these shield slams. You have to really get rid of that Grom. You can't really just let it hit you in the face for 10 every turn.
Yeah, and Jason choosing to slam afterwards to not draw the card, showing the importance of not drawing cards in this matchup over the long haul. Very weird spot, but understanding it. I mean, it was very clear early on that both players were playing to that plan as well.
Sure. Yeah. You can't play the Cthulhu here.
No.
There's just too much risk in the form of potentially Sylvanas just taking out the game.
Too.
Tinkmaster, yeah. That transforms it so it's not killing it. So then you could potentially be unable to make the Doomcaller happen.
Ancient Shield Bearer, he's really reluctant to use Shield Slam, but preventing 10 is a big deal.
10's a lot of damage.
That counters the Ancient Shield Bearer.
Yeah, and Jason's just going to keep this Grom on the field, I imagine, and
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, just keep punching him for 10. And Cydonia kind of is now forced into a situation where he kind of has to use the shield slams now. Otherwise, he's not going to have the option to going forward, as you know, one more turn and all the armor is going to be gone.
Now, what does Jason read this as? Because this is an extremely weird line of play.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You got to imagine he thinks that there's no single target removal from Cydonia's side, I guess. And Cydonia's playing the top decked execute kind of further supports that idea that, you know, maybe Cydonia doesn't have the shield slams.
I mean, what would the rest of his hand be? I mean, at this point, it would have to be double Brawl, Cthulhu, Doomcaller, shield blocks. It would just have to be nothing.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. At least it's something to do, right? You're able to get the... I
think it's funny he got a Cthulhu's chosen at the portal.
Yeah.
Second Cthulhu's chosen for Cydonia at this point. And at least Starseeker hits play. That's another one of the big deals in this matchup. That's an extra card in Jason's deck. They should be about even on the card count now, and now the Golden Monkey inevitability.
Well, Jason's still half a card ahead because of the Harrison being forced out there, so not quite even yet. Jason will still be losing in fatigue, but it helps a little bit for sure.
Having an extra 6/6 taunt and then being able to convert the fairly useless cards into legendaries. That coin could just become a legendary.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, adding an extra card to your deck is pretty sweet.
Just a tough game. There's very little. There's very little to maneuver right now. It's like a closed position in chess where neither player can really do anything, and you're kind of purposely making moves that don't do anything.
Yeah. Just to try and make sure that nothing gets opened up and it takes as long as possible. And I mean, that's what Cydonia is playing to. He's playing to this fatigue win condition. He is the superior deck in fatigue at the moment. He has, you know, the superior draw count going into it. But the awkward part is the life total might actually make up for the difference in fatigue, as, you know, Jason's at 70 and Cydonia's only at 37, and half a card of fatigue is not going to offset that life total at the moment, and Jason keeps getting in additional chip damage. You got to remember, Cydonia's already used both Ancient Shield Bearers.
Yes, and Brand hasn't been used yet. So there's not that 20 armor burst if you need it that'll be added to your life total. Twin Emperor, the first real move that's been made at this point that I think Jason's going to have to respond to.
I really like this Twin Emperor, by the way, because you're playing a Twin Emperor into a board state that Jason doesn't want to brawl, right? Jason has 2 minions developed. He's in a fairly comfortable board state, and now it's you play the Twin Emperors in it, which the natural response is usually always brawl, and now it's like, well, if I brawl, I kill 2 of my own minions, so it's not even great for me. So now I have to fight against the Twin Emperors honestly, which you never really want to do.
That's something we've seen over and over again in the Warrior matchups, is players waiting for Twin Emperor for the right moment. And this time, Cydonia drew it. It just happened to be the right moment.
Yeah, a really great moment for
Shield Slam getting used. That's a premium removal spell used on a 4/6. How important is that in the long term?
That is very important, because that gives you less opportunities to be able to potentially kill you know, the 3 Cthuns that you're going to be facing down. So now there are 3 hard removals left in Jason's deck, and there are still 3 Cthuns from the side of Cydonia coming out later on in this game.
Yep, Tinkmaster requires a clear board position to be hard removal.
Yeah, I really like the patience from Cydonia, understanding the value of the Shield Slam, because you do need to guarantee have 1 to kill your own Cthulhu, and then you only have 1 that's like free range to kill one of your opponent's important things, / use it on your Sylvanas to steal something, which you almost always want to do in this matchup to be able to take either Karin or their Sylvanas. So I really like his understanding of how valuable Shield Slam is for the big picture game plan of this matchup.
Right, but now at this point, Jason has forced both Shield Bearers.
Yeah.
No Justicar on Cydonia's side.
Whoa.
He's actually just going to Cthulhu.
He can't kill his own Cthulhu. He can only do 10 damage with the Shield Slams.
Is this premature? This feels a bit early.
He can guarantee transform it into something with the Tinkmaster here.
He could also, couldn't he guarantee take it as well?
He can.
No, he can't.
He can't guarantee take it. So he's going to go for the 100% guarantee. The Tinkmaster tech here coming out huge. Wow.
The 1-1 honestly doesn't even matter that much. It's the fact that Cthulhu got Tinkmastered.
Yeah.
Now Cydonia basically has to win in fatigue.
Yeah, one of the things that this does, though, for Cydonia is originally he was so favored in fatigue even at the life total because with Doomcaller and Bran, he would add 2 cards to his deck. Now he's not adding 2 cards to his deck anymore. So as Jason effectively killed 2 Cthuns and made Cydonia draw 2 cards in a fatigue matchup. That's so huge.
And now Cydonia's going to shield block.
Now he's figuring he has to go aggressive to try and win this game.
Where's that going to happen, though? He's down both shield bearers. He's down Cthulhu. Where does the kill come from?
Twin Emperors.
Yeah.
He has no more aggro left in this deck.
Emperor's gone.
He has Sylvanas at the top end and Doomcaller as just top end minions. This took a dramatic turn very quick with that Cthulhu play. I didn't like that at all. And now Jason has the freedom to draw. You can see he's just looking extremely comfortable with the matchup now.
Well, yeah, now he's got all the inevitability. Now the N'Zoth is unanswered.
Yeah, there's like no way for Cydonia really to out-threat Jason at this point. Jason's deck now just has more threats than Cydonia's deck does.
Here's the Doomcaller. The one benefit that Cydonia has is that he's seen 2 shield slams.
Okay.
That's about it. His deck doesn't have Justicar yet. Jason's turning on the Jets. Time to get aggressive. This is bad news. Now he can steal the Karin, which is a big deal.
No time for games.
It's a huge deal. You remove 2 Karens from your opponent and add 1 to your deck. So Cydonia's still in this with the Karin pressure. That'll help him out a lot, but Jason,
a long way to go.
Jason has the Sylvanas Brawl still to try and steal the Karin back.
Right, he's held the coin the entire game.
I have no time.
So he was expecting this.
Exactly where he's headed.
He was expecting Cydonia to take the Karin, and then he was going to try and take the Karin back with this play.
Brilliant maneuvering from Jason. Just one misstep from Cydonia. Granted, a fairly big misstep, but nonetheless.
The Sylvanas doesn't die in this instance. Not able to
Still
steal
fairly strong, though. He took out the front half of Karin, and now he's got his Sylvanas on board. At this point, if Jason is just able to exhaust Cydonia's resources,
then he wins. Yeah, he has the inevitability now. The table is flipped from Cydonia having the inevitability to Jason having the inevitability, so he's very happy with an even outcome on the board, for sure. As long as he's not extremely behind, he's most likely going to win this at the end of the day.
Yep, and Justicar gets picked up. The life totals are now fairly even, but the difference is the amount of threat potential left. Jason's going to get in some damage this game with N'Zoth. That is a big deal. Double Brawl from Cydonia will hurt that a little bit. So I still think it comes down to the end, but even if that happens, Jason's got Golden Monkey.
Yeah, he's got the Golden Monkey to turn these useless Acolyte of Pains into extra legendaries, and Cydonia doesn't have like that power turn that you can have after Golden Monkey gets played to gain tempo after it. Like typically speaking, when Golden Monkey gets played, you slam down your Cthulhu, and then they don't have a response to Cthulhu. You punch him in the face with Cthulhu, and the game's over. Well, the Cthulhu's gone, Twin Emperors are gone, even the Doomcaller's gone now, so...
There's actually no threats left.
Yeah, there's no threats left. As soon as Jason gets Golden Monkey, he's just going to play N'Zoth. Cydonia will answer N'Zoth. He'll play Golden Monkey and just take him out.
And now Cydonia's almost out of cards.
One card remaining.
Here's one of my questions. I'm curious about this. Going into the Sylvanas turn, because Cydonia doesn't have any threats, is there any merit to trying to have Sylvanas steal one of your acolytes and then trying to force draws onto that acolyte being stolen?
Which turn are we talking about?
So the turn that Jason went Sylvanas Brawl,
Sure.
and his Sylvanas won
Oh,
the
it is
brawl.
Sylvanas won, yeah.
Is there any merit to trying to force an acolyte to your opponent's side and force draws that
Exactly,
way?
yeah. That's why Jason went with Sylvanas Brawl instead of going like for trying to set up a Sylvanas Shield Slam. He wanted to set up a Sylvanas Brawl so he could guarantee his Sylvanas was dead so that couldn't happen. But Cydonia didn't go for that line of play. He was just trying to, I guess, attrition the board out.
Jason's not even going to Nazoth. He just monkeys.
Why not? It's good enough.
I mean, second Sylvanas seems pretty good.
Second Sylvanas is a liability for what we're talking about right now.
You're right.
That's why he's doing it.
He recognized that.
Yeah, he's set up to, not have Sylvanas be a liability with the Sylvanas Brawl, making that whole setup line of play, and then he ignores the Nazoth here to make the Sylvanas not be a liability again. Jason's playing this matchup very, very, very well.
Yeah, he recognized that was the reason he was so upset that Sylvanas was
that's why he was
because of that possibility.
Exactly.
So that was Cydonia's other opportunity, was to force that play.
And Cydonia missed that opportunity. He missed the opportunity for the Brand Doom Callers. It's
coming full circle now.
Yeah.
There's 4 more threats in Jason's hand that Cydonia has to be able to deal with. And Jason does not have to play multiples at once. He is free to play one at a time.
It's going to be very, very, very difficult for Cydonia to win at this point. He just doesn't have enough removal to line up against it.
Now, Brand Brawl could change some things, but I don't think he's... Yeah, you're right. He just doesn't have it. The way it's lined up is...
Yeah.
This is Jason, 100%.
100%. It's already over. And it all stemmed from that Cthulhu getting transformed by the Tink Master, forcing Cydonia to take a weird line. Then he got out of his comfort zone. He made a few mistakes out of his comfort zone going down that weird line, and Jason just kept punishing him all the way through. I think this matchup is heavily favored for the Cthulhu Warrior, and Jason was able to find an edge and force out the early Cthulhu and get the win here. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, for me personally, I think it's the reluctance for Cydonia to use one of the shield slams. They're both important for utility purposes, but I think he had opportunities to forego it. He had Sylvanas at 5 mana because of Emperor Thorson.
So he could have come with Brawl.
Right, so he doesn't necessarily need to shield slam his own Sylvanas, and that's fine.
Okay.
The fact that he didn't shield slam early led to a lot of damage on him.
Yeah.
That forced him to play Twin Emperors. It forced him to play Ancient Shield Bearers.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, I think, because the Sylvanas was discounted, he had more versatility to use the second shield slam in other ways, and forgoing that really put him in a bad spot.
You can see the experience from Jason being a big deal in this one. As Simon said in the pre-show, 20,000 warrior wins.
It's insane. Even when he was so far ahead, he got really comfortable and he didn't make any mistakes. He made sure his Sylvanas was dying. He forewent Nazoth at the end there, which no one would really do. Everyone would just try and slam it, but he didn't even have to think about it. He was like, yeah, I've done this a million times. I already know.
See if Cydonia can bounce back after that one. Game number 2 coming up right after this.
The Hearthstone World Championship is sponsored.
What do you think China ranks in as far as the regions in competitive Hearthstone?
Chinese player didn't play a lot of international tournament. Basically, we play in our region, but we have a lot of talented players, and they all play very well. Let's see if we can get a good achievement this year.
What's been the difference overall between the competitive scene in China and the competitive scene in the Americas?
In NA, there are a lot of online tournaments, but in China, we have Golden Series. Every month, you have a open tournament. Then you can travel and make friends and play Hearthstone. I think it's pretty cool.
What initially made you like Control Warrior so much?
Because I like Show. He's a very famous streamer on Twitch. I watch a lot of his stream and I feel like, yeah, this guy played this deck pretty good. and then I want to try it, like just as a fans. That's why I always play Control Warrior. Yeah. Well, thanks to Show, he is a good metal.
You play on both ladders?
Yeah, both ladder.
What is there big differences between the Chinese ladder and the America's ladder?
America, they have like more control players. In China, they have a lot of aggressive players. When I go play China, I feel like Control Warrior is so tough on China because they all like aggressive decks. Always Zoo, always like Shaman, something like that. So you need to change a bit. I think a good player need to like make the change based on the situation, right?
Picked up a win with his warrior. And Cydonia's kind of soft targeting that, but it's tough to target the master.
Yeah, he really showed, the experience he has with Control Warrior there. We saw him, he was nervous throughout the game, looking really tense, and then there was just one turn where he was able to finally get the Cthulhu out from Cydonia, and then he just leaned back in his chair, was very calm and relaxed, and every turn after that was just a snap play, and it was like he had his opponent already in checkmate, and he knew he was going to win the game.
You see the variation, you see it in Cydonia. You gotta wonder how you let that one go away, because he was looking so good from the onset.
He had a really good position, honestly, and he had a really good lineup here, and the lineup, all of his decks performed so well against the Control Warrior. It's just absolutely incredible that Jason was just able to take it out.
Now we're seeing Tempo Mage versus Shaman. Shaman has often been the target of a lot of bans, but in this one, Cydonia took what I would consider a bit unconventional of a ban.
Okay.
Took out Warlock.
Took out Warlock.
Didn't take out Shaman.
I mean, I like the Warlock ban. I think it makes a lot of sense with his lineup. The mid-range Hunter in particular gets really preyed on by the Warlock. His Shaman's not particularly fantastic against the Warlock. And his Druid he made a little bit heavier to help him try and soft target the Warrior a little bit better. So it makes it get preyed on by the Warlock as well. So it's just kind of what happens when you soft target Warrior is the aggro decks start becoming a problem because you have to make all of your decks just a little bit heavier in the mid section just to be able to target Warrior efficiently.
Yep. So the Tempo Mage from Cydonia is a bit different, more in Pavel's style, where he's got 2 copies of Water Elemental. He's got a Faceless Summoner in here. Tops out at Ragnaros. It's some of the Tempo Mage builds that we've seen, like Naaman's, for instance, tops out at Azure Drake.
Yeah, and that's just factored into trying to soft target Warrior. And so that's going to hurt all of your other matchups a little bit when you're trying to include a little bit heavier cards in there. Like Water Elementals aren't particularly fantastic against Shaman. They give the Shaman opponent's Hex actual value in the matchup, so it can be a little bit awkward. But he's off to a great start here, having the Mana Worm and having a few cheap spells to be able to gain bursts of tempo later on.
Of course, every hero powers tense for Cydonia. One Wrath of Air Totem changes the game, but
hasn't happened yet.
It's because he's not versus me on ladder. Gonna go ahead and chip away anyway, and with the Searing Totem roll, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so he sets up for just the onboard trade to happen. It's a lot more difficult for Cydonia to full clear the board and remove all of the power from it now that it's more than just a Tunnel Truck, but also the 1/1 Searing Totem.
Now you mentioned that Hex actually gives value because of or actually has value in this matchup because of Water Elemental. It's not necessarily a bad thing when you have Ragnaros in the build. Seeing Hex and then being able to follow up with something big is something, but this is the matchup where Ragnaros isn't at its most powerful.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest issue with Ragnaros is oftentimes you're hitting a totem with it, which is not a great investment of your entire turn. If you're having to fight from behind, then Ragnaros is going to be totally useless. If you're ahead on the board, Ragnaros is going to be fantastic, but it's very hard to get ahead of the board against a Shaman because they have some of the best tools for maintaining board control.
I'm going to go ahead and Arcane Missiles alongside the Blast with the Cult Sorcerer.
Yes.
And that's a 4 damage Mana Worm. Cydonia, when he recognized that attack from Jason meant that his hand was a little bit weak and he wanted to take it slow. And Cydonia striking as early as turn 3 here, even though he doesn't have follow-up, he thinks Jason's weak, and I love this play.
Yeah, it's really solid, really able to get through a lot of damage there and put Jason on the back foot. You see him already down to 18, and Tempo Mage is not a deck that lacks damage. If they're able to actually get ahead in the matchup and get a lot of chip damage early, they will have the follow-up with Fireballs, Frostbolts, Firelands, Portals, and Ragnaros even.
A lot of damage to face. There are no Forgotten Torches in the build. He's chosen to go with the Water Elementals and Faceless Summoner. So not quite as much burst, more of the sustained damage from board aspect of it, but the main portion of it is Firelands, Portal, and Fireballs. If Jason takes too much damage, those will just kill him.
And in this current state, if Rag ever hits Jason in the face, he's pretty much dead. Like, there will be the follow-up damage most often from Cydonia's side to finish him off. So Rag becomes a much better card when you know you just have X% chance to basically win the game if it goes face.
And this is 3 more damage that Cydonia is getting from Cult Sorcerer. And honestly, here's the thing. I don't necessarily think he can play the second one. Because Azure Drake's on board, and Jason's been holding on to a lot of these cards on the left side. These are very likely to be Maelstrom Portal, very likely to be Lightning Storm, but Cydonia says he's happy to see those with Faceless Summoner on the reload.
Sure. Yeah, get the AoE out of the way to make way for the Faceless Summoner. And
it's interesting.
It's a risk to, a little bit to an extent too. If it pulls off and, you know, they don't have the AoE, you do just kind of win on the spot, which is pretty tempting for how much value is the Cult Sorcerer in your hand, really?
Yep, and here's the turnaround that Jason was looking for. It was just a strong turn of lots of things to do. That Maelstrom Portal pickup was a big deal.
Yeah, and he's off to the races now. He's got a very limited number of turns to just kind of finish Cydonia off, and he might actually be able to get the job done. That Flame Tongue is representing so much damage, and the 1-drop off the Maelstrom Portal, the lowly Squire, going to get buffed by the hero power as well.
There's the weak turn from Cydonia, so now Jason looking like he's on the assault plan.
Yeah, has some interesting trades here that he could choose to do with the Flame Tongue Totem.
I think he's going face.
You have to kill the 5/5. This just represents too much damage, but I really like, you know, this being able to develop the Firelands Portal, Fire Elemental, and just get so much pressure.
Firelands Portal.
Sure, it's basically the same thing. It gets so much pressure on the field so quickly. He's pushing through so much damage, and you can already see he's representing 14 points of damage with the hero power 15, so he's only 1 damage off lethal. Going into a Ragnaros on the next turn, he's going to have the 8 damage burst needed to close out the game.
I mean, how does Cydonia win from this spot?
He needs Doomguard.
The Hero Peddler's pretty good, but not when your opponent's playing Ragnaros.
No, this gives Jason Zhao the 50-50 for lethal here.
It's basically lethal either way. Either he hits the Ethereal Peddler and there's no presence from Cydonia, or he hits Cydonia and we go to game number 3. Wow, what a beating in the mid-game.
Yeah.
Oof. That is a very clean win for Jason. Being able to pick up such an easy game with the Shaman. The first couple turns looked bad for him, but then Cydonia just didn't have the follow-up. It was having Faceless Summoner and Ragnaros instead of having anything to play on turns 5 and 6. That's where Azure Drake and Water Elemental were really important.
Yeah, it's he made his deck a little bit greedier. He has the Faceless Summoner, he has the Ragnaros in there, and that really costs him in the matchup against Shaman, matchup against Warlock in particular, and we can see him punishing it here.
Yep, we'll find out if he can bounce back. Game number 3 coming up right after this.
How does it feel to be back?
Great.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm not super nervous. Basically, I think my opponents are more nervous than me, so it makes me more chill.
Why do you think they're more nervous than you? Why do you think that you'll be more calm than everybody else?
I think they have more pressure. For example, guys like Handsome Guy and Ties, like everyone is saying they are going to win, and everyone is saying they are the best players in the world, so they have to prove it. Last time I was the underdog, this time, well, I'm pretty much the underdog again, and I think it's a role that suits me pretty well. I'm fine with them having all the pressure, and I just have to show that I can play against them, just show up, play well.
What kind of things can you do to, say, intimidate an opponent who's sitting across from you? Do you, like, wink at them?
No, I don't wink at people. I will stare them down.
Talk about pressure all you want, but that doesn't look too comfortable to me.
No, he's really feeling it now. Day 1, you know, gave him the ability to talk about, you know, it feels like no pressure because he was going 4-0 up against Handsome Guy. But now, on the back foot, this is where you really feel it.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't lost a game in BlizzCon up to this point.
Yeah.
Now he's down 2-0. Jason, in his last match, he was down 2-0. He came back and he won it.
Yeah, he's shown great composure throughout the event.
When he's up 2-0,
he looks honestly the same as when he was down 2-0.
He really does.
He really hasn't changed at all. And I think that's good. I don't think that you should allow the influence of the score to really change how you react to the game.
The moment in the game where Jason realizes that he's turned the corner, that's when you see him relax.
Oh, yeah, that's when you see him lean back.
He knows.
Yeah, and he's
be
like
a terrible poker player.
Oh, yeah, he would be a terrible poker. He'd be sitting there with aces leaning back.
Got this one in the bag. Flush, all red cards.
Yeah. He's got a great opening hand for this one.
That's not how flushes work.
The wild growth leading up into the Mire Keeper.
Now here's the big one though, Cat Trick. This card is so good versus Druid. This is like just a 4-2 stealth.
It's like coining out a Jungle Panther because you know they're going to play wild growth.
What is it, gonna hero power me?
Yeah, and then he loses anyway if he just hero powers. So this card's just absolutely bonkers against some Druid.
And he gets to lead this with Animal Companion as well. This is about as good of an opener as Cydonia is going to get. You might be looking at this and going, well, Fiery Bat might be good on turn 1, but Druid happens to be one of the matchups where Fiery Bat just isn't that good. Doesn't have it in his deck, but Secret Keeper.
Secret Keeper turn 1 would have helped this out.
Of
but,
course.
You know, aside from the Secret Keeper, Cydonia's got the hand that you really want to have here, and Jason doesn't have great counterplay to it. You know, you could look at trying to remove some of these minions. You could look at trying to ramp up. Nothing looks super appealing.
And he's even getting rewarded here because of the hand from Jason. A lot of times, upper in this matchup isn't the strongest because it's easily answered. Jason just doesn't have an answer, and Cydonia, when he sees Mire Keeper into make a 2-2, he has got to know that Jason's hand is weak.
Yeah, he could honestly, you know, use the quick shot here and then set up the freezing trap, push an additional 8 damage, and just pass it back and say, you didn't have an answer to it previously, it's probably going to be awkward for you to answer it again.
Yeah, and in this matchup, the deadly shots also play a bit of a role because there's some top end in Jason's deck that can affect this. So he's got one Ancient of War, and then of course you always want to be able to wipe out a Malagos or a Ragnaros should those hit the board, but instead Cydonia is going to build board tension. And this is one of the spots that I'm actually against that. And I'm almost always for building board tension.
Yeah, this is where a swipe could get super awkward for you. A card that didn't really answer the board on the previous turn now could really do a lot of work on the board. But, you know, Jason doesn't have great removal options still, so it's working out for Cydonia here.
Yeah, one of the reasons I don't like the board tension is because spells play one of two purposes. Number one, you're way ahead and they finish. Number two, you're behind and they catch you back up. In this spot, Cydonia, it was very clear that he was way ahead because of Jason's weak turn. Start finishing.
Yeah, he's going to be able to hold on to the burn for additional turns later. He's lost a little bit of board presence, though. And
a little bit.
Yeah, he's lost most of it, and he lacks the minions to reload. Now he's just stuck with the utility spells in his hand, and it's a bit awkward.
He went from 11 power to 2 power.
And
to have a quick shot and a freezing trap.
If he didn't top deck this minion here, he would have reloaded with nothing.
It would be all on tracking to find something.
Yeah, yeah. So a little bit, I guess, conservative line is what I'd go with. Instead of protecting his board state, he figured the 4-2s were too soft and maybe overestimated the range of Jason's hand. That's some damage.
Those are all looking good. Honestly, it's unfortunate for Cydonia that all 3 of these are here, because ideally he wouldn't have to make an option. Like if this was a Secret Keeper, a Kindly Grandmother, and then one of these 3, the one of the 3 would easily be the pick. The fact that he's losing 2 of these cards means that he is losing some damage.
He goes with the Animal Companion. I like this pick. I think it's you can make a soft read that there was no swipe in Jason's hand on the previous turn. So just getting this Animal Companion out there is the strongest minion on the board. I like straying away from the bow because there is a Harrison Jones in Jason's build, and you don't want to have to walk into that taking the game away from you.
I think the Mark of Nature might be close to okay.
You don't have anything to taunt up on the board, though, so for this turn, then, you'd just be passing. The Innervate, though, at least allows you to get the Giant in play.
Well, hang on a sec. So the discount is already showing in the Arcane Giant. Is that correct?
It's already at 8, yeah.
Okay.
So
That was I didn't know if it happened after the spell was finished. If that was the case, then it would have been coin. And so that would have been okay, but it doesn't work that way. So it's Nourish for mana, and then Mulch the Leok. He's looking at Yogg on turn 10 then.
yeah, he's looking at just, I guess, Malagos into Yogg. It's going to be a tough one, but Yogg can make things happen.
Malagos buffs the Yogg damage. If Yogg fires off spells, they get +5 spell damage if Malagos is there.
Yeah, you could kill somebody.
Yes. Frozen did that at PAX versus Chalky in the finals.
Huh.
Malagos dealt 10 damage because of Yogg.
Straggling mechanics not terrible for the reload here. You already know there's no swipe, so...
Yeah, totally great arena deck here.
Yeah.
Cydonia, thanks to the Mulch.
He's not going to have enough time. Jason knows there's potentially burn damage in the hand from Cydonia.
Yeah, I mean, there is 11 right now with just the quick shot. He's taking out the beast in fear of killing him.
Yeah. Just trying to remove that possibility, hoping that that ends up healing him for 2 additional health because kill command's now disabled, which would be more health healed than if you were to have killed the T-Sun.
Cydonia needs 2 damage to end the game.
And he's got a tracking.
Yeah, that's usually where this ends. I mean, we're looking at 1 copy of Kill Command left and 1 copy of Eaglehorn Bow because of the tracking, discarding those. There's 1 more quick shot left in the build.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's not a ton of reach. It's just strong stuff. But
Sure.
either way, he's in a strong position simply because Jason is just out of gas at this point. He's taking too much damage.
Yeah, Jason has to rely on the Yogg. And one of the things Cydonia can do to kind of play around the Yogg is put as much damage as he possibly can in right now. And then when Yogg comes down, let's say the first spell is Hellfire or something, and then that would kill Jason, and then the next spell could have been Healing Touch on his face.
Right.
So you can kind of play around that a little bit by getting in as much damage as fast as possible.
Gonna go with the Kindly Grandmother and just a slight push. Cydonia, either way, I think he's in a favorable spot because he's got Freezing Trap, Cloaked Huntress, Quick Shot, and Tracking. So even if the Yogg just kind of went awry, unless Jason was able to heal for a ton, it's pretty much all Cydonia this game.
Man of Knives gets a little bit of clear action going. Needs to clear the entire board and also heal, though. Well, he can use the Priest Hero power. It's glowing.
Yep, not the greatest so far. Ooh.
Is that clear?
Oh!
Ugh, doesn't clear. Does that clear? It clears.
Wow.
He's got the ability to heal up to 7. He's still in this game.
And if Cydonia doesn't close here, there's Feral Rage too.
There's Feral Rage after this, and swipes for tons of clearing, and he still has a 7/5 on the field. Cydonia needs something big off this tracking right now.
Does he need something big from the tracking, or does he just slam the high main?
I guess you could high main Freezing Trap, yeah.
I mean, you have a frog in the way.
Okay. You could just let the frog go. That is interesting. You risk
Jason lost his hero power for a single point of damage, so the frog is... It's actually just a taunt right now.
Yeah, and Jason's already played
Cydonia's
one of the
going for the
Feral
win.
Rages. He gets to track over the ambush, so he's not going to be giving a 4/4 to Jason.
That is so weird that he can put that in his hand. I've never seen that before. What happens if he puts that in his hand?
I think it counts as you drawing it, and then it gives Jason a 4/4, and then you draw another card. So he could have picked that, give Jason a 4/4, try to find lethal.
Does it work that way?
I think it might. I think you might draw a card.
I'm
not sure.
I've never
I'm
seen that.
I'm not 100% sure.
I've never seen that interaction.
It's not an interaction you see every day.
Well, Jason's still in a bit of trouble. Does have swipes to help clear this up. Feral Rage to extend the life. The fact that Cydonia didn't play the Savannah High Main may come back to cost him. I don't think he's anticipating this much board clear, this much heal from Jason this turn.
There's still going to be a 3/2 left on the side for Cydonia, but Jason's,
swipe again?
Jason's healing for 10 this turn. He has the Priest Hero power.
He's foregoing the heal to get the Big Bad Wolf down to contest the potential trap that's in play. So no swing with Yogg. Wants that to be live on the 7 power. And that's a fairly dead draw for Cydonia at this point. Cat Trick great early on, but at this stage, Jason's powering minions.
Yeah. Cydonia's really got to get this high main in place so he can empty his hand to cycle the quick shot. And just because it's a high main, and that's such a huge power level.
If he falls out of this game, I have to believe it's because of last turn foregoing the Savannah high main in favor of trying to find lethal. Again, he discarded an animal companion, an eagle horn bow, and a kill command.
That is true.
For that tracking. So
he discarded so much damage from
and
that
there's
tracking.
a Ragnaros pickup.
And you have to imagine, like, the odds of Savannah Highmane winning you the game is actually pretty good. If Savannah Highmane was down last turn, there was no way Jason could remove it with the cards remaining in his deck.
He'd already seen Mulch. Ancient of War was really the one big threat that Jason could have had to shut that down. But if he plays Ancient of War, you're going to get shut down regardless. Then you're just tracking afterwards.
Yeah, you have another opportunity. He's just so afraid of Jason stabilizing because of the Priest hero power, I think. I think that's a big factor. That 2 health every turn becomes a real threat. But Highmane's down there now, so it's most likely going to be able to get some work in.
There is a big miss potential here for Jason. That's not the miss potential, so cuts 2 damage off the board, starts the recovery versus
maybe
Savannah
it is
Highmane.
the miss potential, though. You need to get that face damage in. If he doesn't close the game out...
I think hitting the Highmane there's way better.
2 health a turn is... it's not gaining you life. It is stabilizing against the hero power of Cydonia.
Oh my.
So you're just waiting for Cydonia to draw the final kill command to finish the job.
Jason down to 4 now. I don't know, maybe it was a miss, actually.
Yeah. He can clean up a lot of this board.
Well, there's a cat trick down. So here comes the 4-2. Let's go ahead and replace that body. Let's go ahead and add some of those. Swipe will clean a bit of this up, but it leaves 6 damage behind. Yeah, in hindsight, I actually think that hitting it still was good, because now the Ragnaros takes out the cat trick token here. There is some win potential for Jason. It's just going to be close. He's got to hit perfect the rest of the way.
He hits perfect, so he's still in it.
Cydonia, though, he's got a rag of his own.
Yeah, the rag could really...
And this Yogg is just sitting under this freezing trap. It's just isolated.
Yeah, just waiting for an Innervate, maybe. Or even with Innervate, you can't break the mana.
Look at Jason. He's like, ugh.
Oh.
That's going to do it. Cydonia going to put himself on the board and begin the comeback. That was a tense ending to that game.
That was close. That was really close.
Honestly, the Yogg was strong, but not nearly as strong as it could have been in some of those situations. If Yogg had thrown any real healing Jason's way, that could have been a very different game.
Sure, if he had gotten like a healing touch or a Moonglade portal or something, then maybe he could have actually really stabilized instead of just being on the back foot the entire game.
Yep, nice win there for Cydonia as he starts to come back to even up the series. Game number 4 right after this.
The Hearthstone World Championship is sponsored in part.
Have you started thinking about playing on the big BlizzCon stage yet?
I did think about it, but I need to be like come out through the group stage first.
Have you thought about the money at all?
Yeah, it's a lot of money, right? I maybe spend some money to travel a bit, and the rest maybe to do some investment.
Investing into Hearthstone packs, perhaps?
Actually, I always do that.
A Control Warrior is always expensive, right?
Yeah, it's always expensive.
Who's been the coolest person that you've met in all of your travels?
My fans, my stream
Your fans. You have to pick one person, though. Does he have blue hair?
Oh, okay, you are the coolest person. We can make a deal. If I win the BlizzCon champion title, I can make the blue hair. Yeah.
Deal?
Just like you.
Just like me, Mohawk too?
Yeah,
okay.
Just like you.
Deal?
Deal.
TJ's the coolest person I've ever been to.
He's a pretty cool guy. Pretty cool guy. Can't argue there.
You know what else is really cool? Jason.
Dude, Jason is really showing some stuff today.
His play has been fantastic.
Even while he was
so far.
losing that game, it looked pretty impressive, honestly. How he was hanging on by a thread there all the way till the very end. Cydonia's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, I think there's still a few unanswered questions here for Cydonia, where in a couple of these spots, it's getting a little bit tricky, and he's kind of going for the gusto, which I can always respect, but Foregoing that Savannah high main last game was... I was questioning it. We walked away with the win, but that Savannah high main would have been devastating. He would have won on the back of that earlier.
I agree with it. I think it was a mistake to forgo it, but looking at the lineups, I still, even though he's down a game, Cydonia's got some action here. He has the soft pin on this rogue still. Jasonyhou needs to try and figure out how he's going to get a win with this rogue too efficiently, and if Cydonia gets this tempo mage out, I would give Cydonia an edge in the entire series.
Yep, it's going to be Druid versus Mage to lead off game number 4. Cydonia, a kind of wonky opening hand here, does have 2 Mana Worms, which are very key cards, but the spells he's drawn are Firelands portals, not Frostbolts, not Arcane Intellects. But that being said, Jason's hand is looking pretty weak right now.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of removal, which helps out, but no Wild Growth, no Innervate. That's the hand that can really struggle against Tempo Mage, especially when they have Mana Worm. And we see Cydonia, you know, he's probably going to be holding on to this coin for a little while, get towards those Fireland portals a little bit earlier. And
well, he saw Wild Growth. He didn't see Wrath. He saw the hero power go face instead of go to Mana Worm, which I think means that there's no
Living Roots.
Living Roots. So I think this is a turn where he could kind of prod for development here. And when he sees Jason use Feral Rage to answer this Sorcerer's Apprentice,
yep,
I think he's going to be off to the races.
You know, no Living Roots now. You know, no Wrath, because those would likely be used instead of Feral Rage. So you definitely make a read on your opponent's hand that it's very weak at the moment.
That's another heavy draw.
And we see Cydonia just flooding the board with minions, just aggressively developing on the board, trying to punish Jason for having sort of a weak hand here.
Jason doesn't have some strong action versus this. Just look at him.
Yeah. This is a very tense situation. If you play the Fandral and your opponent just has Fireball, you just kind of lose from that position because it buffs both the Mana Worms. And
instead, he's going to mulch the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Cydonia gets a 5-drop off of it, picks up a Fireball on the back of this one. This is looking really bad for Jason, Firebat.
Yeah, and Cydonia has the ability just to coin out this 5-drop, and it's a fairly decent threat on the board that Druids can't really deal with without mulch. But he is going to go with the Fireball instead. I'm curious about this play.
He's saving the coin so he can go turn 6, turn 7, turn 8, Firelands Portal, Ragnaros. Like, he's trying to nail the coffin right now.
He's trying to do the old Secret Paladin curve, kind of. He's lined up his entire curve now by this play of forgoing the development of the minion now. Kind of taking a weak turn in the immediate, but in the future he has the 5-drop on 5, and then he goes Firelands Portal on 6, Firelands Portal on 7, Firelands Portal on Rag.
Yes, the old Tempo Secret Mage Paladin.
Tempo Secret Mage Paladin.
That's exactly what's happening. Princess Huhuran is a little bit worse than Azure Drake, I'd say. Azure Drake will open up options here. Serves pretty much the same purpose.
I kind of disagree. I think it makes you more open to swipe. I would have liked to see Princess Huhuran because, as we've said, the future turns are already choreographed. You're already going coins Fireland Portal into Firelands Portal into Rag.
I just don't think he's losing. I don't think it matters what he does, honestly.
It always matters what you do. It always matters. You lose percents here and there. And
this is one of those games where the percents I do not believe are being lost. I think he knows Jason's got nothing. That's what I think.
I don't know. Jason's held on to this Feral Rage by taking the gamble on the mulch. And so he does have the ability to heal going forwards and combo it with the Fandral. He could very reasonably make something happen.
I want you to look at this turn and say that again.
You can make something happen. There's outs here.
The words very reasonably have disappeared from the statement.
Very reasonably are gone, but there are still outs.
It needed to be Innervate right there, and it needed to be Innervate Yogg, and the 4 or whatever spells it would have been needed to be lights out. It's over.
It is over.
Cydonia.
There's no way that Jason can win this game at this point.
I think Cydonia was typing to Jason right there. He's like,
gotcha.
Crouching Tiger. And then the Hidden Dragon in Jason's hand. Malagos will not be hitting the board this game. Cydonia is going to tie it up.
Well, wait. He's got the hero power in this way by holding back the Fandral to play around the second Firelands Portal. He is alive at 1 HP.
Alive. Sort of.
I mean, this does give opportunities for Cydonia to make a mistake, too.
It's inevitable.
Now, for my next trick.
Innervate? Not an Innervate, so this is going to be very difficult to come back from.
You'll finally admit it?
It's probably over now. I think it's over. I think it's very safe to say that it is.
I admire your passion on this one, but it was Cydonia set this in stone, and then the hand from Jason. Druid has a failure rate sort of built into it. When it draws poorly in the early game, it will look like that, and then you kind of wonder why you're playing Druid. It's because of all the other times where Druid does Druid things and looks fantastic. Cydonia.
This was a very crucial win for Cydonia.
Yes.
Sidonia's Tempo Mage was one of the kind of sketchiest looking decks left in his lineup, and with that out of the way, this Rogue is very targetable from Jason's side of the field.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. Who's going to take the lead in the series? Tied at 2 apiece. Game number 5 right after this.
Now that you've qualified, have you gotten more of your family on board the Hearthstone hype train?
Yeah, it was really funny. My mom watched the whole tournament, and like my dad watched it also, and he even got like other people from my family to come with him watch, and they all don't understand anything. But when you get hyped, TJ, they get hyped too, so it's working.
That's gonna be it.
Cydonia is going to close this out, and he is going to be moving on to the grand finals.
You said like your sister was showing the text messages of her boyfriend or something?
Yeah, because she couldn't watch it, and yeah, her boyfriend was watching it and texting her constantly, like everything, something would happen. So he would text her like 50 times during a match. It reads like, oh, he might be winning. Oh, no, it's bad. Oh, yeah, it's good. Oh, he's winning. Something's happening. I don't know what. Oh, it's 1-0. Oh, 1-1. And then she answers him, I'm so stressed out. It's really fun for me that like my families and friends and all that, they're getting really hyped about this. It's more fun than just they're like, oh, stop going on vacation without us. No, but they're really supportive.
Have you tried to teach them how to play?
My girlfriend tried to play Akran 25, and she said what every player who plays and loses a game said. I don't see anything I could have done differently. So
she's perfect.
She's perfect, yeah.
She'll be a legend player in no time.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say, I can really relate in that situation. I just love the game. I love that passion about it, and I love just the pure enjoyment.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're here, right? We absolutely love Hearthstone. We love playing it, and we love playing it so much that we love talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I want to do.
You're doing it.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Cydonia tied up 2-2 now. This is such a big deal because prior to this, he didn't know what it was like to be behind at BlizzCon. He just steamrolled his series.
That's always a fun first-time experience.
And look at the demeanor between the two of them. Cydonia looked much more relaxed on that shot. And Jason, right there, is
fidgeting a little bit.
How did I lose this? I was up 2.
Yeah, now it gets really scary because the Tempo Mage is free from Cydonia, which was kind of one of the good exit points for Jasonyhou's Rogue. And now that that's kind of gone, the Rogue's starting to look pretty difficult to get out of the lineup here. Cydonia's like biggest play this entire series was just lineup construction. His lineup construction before the game even started was really good going into it. Even though he hasn't, I don't think, been playing at the same level that Jason's been playing, just his strict lineup advantage has been catching him up. And he's in a very favorable position to take the series, I'd say.
That's the first play you make, is building your lineup.
It's an important one.
It's a very important one.
So,
tell you what, if you click one of those classes that starts with the letter P,
Priest, Paladin.
There's got to be another one. Porlock.
Porlock. What is that, like Bad Zoo?
Druid.
It's just goofy.
No, the Bad Zoo is the Reno Warlock decks where they always curve out on 1 through 3.
And then they just do nothing and die.
Or sometimes they just have Reno and you die.
Okay.
You die as a result of someone else's good health.
So
it's a weird thing to think about. So, Swashbuckler on the open, not a great card, but Tomb Pillager, a very key card in this matchup. And you and I have talked a bit about the Druid versus Rogue matchup. You tend to feel that removal is an incredibly important facet.
Yeah, I mean, removal is obviously very good. It's Druid. From the Druid side, you really want a lot of removal because there's a very limited amount of minions in the Rogue arsenal.
Yeah, I guess to clarify, I meant from the Druid.
Yeah. I was thinking from the Rogue side at first, and I was like, what is he talking about?
No, from the Rogue side, it's Tomb Pillager.
Yeah, Tomb Pillager is what you want. You want the minions,
yes,
not the removal. But yeah, from the Druid side, being able to remove the minions is super key, especially when we break apart Jason's build of Rogue here. He's playing a very traditional Miracle Rogue that lacks a lot of minion presence. There's not those additional questing adventures. There's no additional Violet Teacher. There's no Malagos. It's just kind of honest, old-school Miracle Rogue.
And Tomb Pillager, a big key to that. You mentioned to me before the match, there's 22 points of burst from hand available.
Yeah, 22 points of burst from hand, so he's going to need to get some damage in through conceals or just through minion pressure alone. So it's super important that he has these minions in the early game, and they are threatening to get in that chip damage. As one of the things that Cydonia has teched in his Druid deck to help him deal with Rogue is he has the Moonglade Portal in there, which is a lot of healing, and then he has 2 Feral Rages, which is another 16 points of healing. So as the Rogue has 22 burst damage, the Druid has 22 points of healing in it.
It's a big deal. Now that's if he gets to use the Feral Rages as healing. In spots like this, he's gotta make a decision here.
Yeah, and we've seen earlier actually where Cydonia has these lineups, and they're so well designed for specific matchups, and he has these broad game plans that he's trying to implement in specific matchups. Previously, I want to just take a throwback and look at the Warrior Mirror, where he had the Cthulhu Warrior. He had this game plan of how he wanted to use the shield slams, and Jason put him in an awkward situation, and he ended up losing because he was unable to adjust his macro game plan. And we're seeing kind of the same thing here as the Feral Rage isn't being used, and he's still just focusing on his big long-term game plan, what he put those cards in for the matchup, and it could cost him or it could be the right decision. It's very hard. These are the points that cause a lot of controversy. That's a good curve.
Well, when you don't kill the Tomb Pillager, Azure Drake gets added, and they draw Auctioneer. Obviously, this is caster vision from our perspective, but Jason has got to be in a favorite spot. Cydonia foregoing to kill the Tomb Pillager last turn, and then rolls into the Ragnaros. There's a big risk here. If this Ragnaros does not connect with a minion,
it does though, so he's still able to hold on to it, but it's gonna just get swamped up by this Gadgets and Auctioneer. The coin, the backstab, and the prep, all tools they can use to cycle this.
This is bad news for Cydonia. This is probably the last thing that he wanted to see.
Yeah, he's
and when
definitely
they coin and take their time, there's a lot more draws coming.
Yeah, they have just figuring out the way to most efficiently cycle through everything.
I'm actually curious if Jason can just tank 8 here.
Oh yeah, for sure. You always tank 8 on this Ragnaros, I think.
Or do you sap?
No. If you sap, it comes back and then can remove another minion, and you don't want that because you're not quite pressuring lethal yet. You're not cold-blooding anything, so you're not super punishing him for it. He's debating that right now if he wants to go for the...
He says if Cydonia wants to use 8 more mana, that he's fine with that.
I guess.
I honestly, I'm looking at it from your perspective again here too, which is now there's a chance Cydonia can just get back into it. So is the damage from hand what Jason was thinking about here, where if Rag comes down and even takes out the Auctioneer, does he have the game to finish this afterwards?
Yeah, he does have a lot of reload. You look at, he's already got the Azure Drake Eviscerate plus face tank the Rag to remove it, but personally, I would have face tanked the Rag that turn.
Well, it's going to deviate for Cydonia, who's got 2 Wraths to take out the board position here. And now that Ragnaros sitting in hand.
Yeah, he's got the ability to reload it there. I really think that could be a mistake on Jason's part. He's just giving Cydonia more tools, and with the heal already in Cydonia's hand, all he does is need more removal tools, and if you count Rag as a removal tool, he's in a pretty good shape.
Now, that being said, there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, there's a lot more action to unfold to see how, Jason has this 10-card hand to unload on Cydonia.
How big of an Edwin could he make this turn?
Quite large one. Quite large one. Yeah, he's got the ability, Swashbuckler, Coin, Cold Blood, SI, Edwin, something like that.
Start with the Swash.
That's a good card to have in your
That's interesting.
It's like Sprint.
It's a lot better than Sprint. I hate Sprint, you know that?
Why?
This guy's toast.
It's just...
The Brotherhood
it's just Arcane Intellect.
Arcane Intellect would be so busted in Rogue.
That's probably why it's Sprint.
Yeah.
So 6/6 Edwin is enough for Cydonia.
The Mulch top decked for Cydonia here. So he gets an answer to the Edwin Van Cleef, so he can actually make something happen here.
This position's very similar to the one we saw with the Tomb Pillager and the Azure Drake, though. Does he feel like just hero power on the Swashbuckler and then Ragnaros is going to be strong?
He hasn't seen very much burst at all. That's a scary position. I feel like you want to heal first and then combat it like that.
Oh,
the low roll.
That's the worst one, right?
Yeah, the worst one that he could get here.
No, there's got to be one that's worse.
I think the 2-3 is the smallest 6-drop.
Validated. Oh, no, that's a 5-drop.
Yeah. There are 4 drops that are smaller. Because the 4-drop, you can roll the 1-1, but and the 6-drop.
Yeah, it's like Moat Lurker and stuff, but
3-3 is the second smallest, I think. I was really hoping to get something there that could kind of contest this board position, and without it, he's going to be eating a lot of damage.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's going to cycle to the conceal almost certainly.
Yeah, holy smokes.
Yeah, holy
as some of
smokes.
us would say.
Yeah.
That's going to be lights out.
If he finds the conceal, for sure. If he finds the conceal, most definitely for sure now.
He just finds another Eviscerate.
He's going to be able to prep Fan of Knives.
Does he want to prep Fan of Knives? Did he put 10 in hand?
I think you want to...
Uh-oh.
Yeah, because of the threat of the Overdraw, he goes with the Shadow Strike, and that conceal there is going to be, as you put it, lights out.
Yeah, that's done like dinner. And the Rogue getting a win is a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cydonia has little text in all of his decks to kind of help out against the Rogue. You mentioned, double Barrel Rage Moonblade Portal, but that game plan just didn't come to fruition. He had a little bit of a slow start. Jason didn't, and the double Tomb Pillager, Azure Drake, Gadgets, and Curve is just absolutely insane by Rogue.
Yeah, there's no way he's winning here.
He doesn't even have a Yogg-Saron in his deck to combat this situation.
No, he does not. He's cut it. This Moonblade Portal has taken the spot, and even if Ragnaros hits a stealth 11-3, that's going to do it.
Yep.
Cydonia going to drop this one. Jason now on match point, 3-2. I'll tell you what, every single time that you've seen him take a line that leads a certain way, it's just been perfect from there.
Yeah, he's very good at finishing out the game once he has the cards to be able to get in that position.
I'm still looking a bit nervous, though. I mean, this is it. He's now one game away from securing top 8.
Yeah, that's when the pressure really starts building on you. You're like, I'm so close. All I have to do is win one game.
One more game. Game number 6 coming up right after this.
The Hearthstone World Championship is sponsored.
Match point for Jason. You can see the pressure's on every single time. Once he knows he's going to win the game, he's relaxed. And you see that moment happen way before it actually happens.
Sure.
He knows it.
But at the start of every game,
it's stress. Cydonia, he looked very tense, I think, at the start of the series. Going into game number 3, he looked even more tense. Once he got a couple wins on the board, he looked a little bit more relaxed. And so here, he's very clearly, the anticipation's getting to him a bit, but still much more relaxed, I'd say, than in going into games number 2 and 3.
He's down a game, but he's got some amount of a chance here still. It's Hearthstone, and things can happen, and the lineups don't dictate that either player has really targeted Druid or has any sort of super conservative game plan against Druid, so the Druid mirror is going to be very close to a 50-50. Not a lot of tech differences in there. The one thing that could play a big factor is that Jason has a Yogg, whereas Cydonia does not, and Yogg can be a pretty big factor in that matchup. And then the Cthulhu Warrior, it's very close against Druid, but I'd have to give it at a slight disadvantage against Druid. Not by a lot either, though, so it really could go any of these players' way at this point.
Yeah, so here's what I'm looking at, is that Cydonia's got 2 Azure Drakes, and he's got a Moonblade Portal instead of a Yogg in there. So I think the Yogg is a +1 for Jason, but having 2 Azure Drakes instead of what Jason has, which is 1 Azure Drake, 1 Harrison Jones, I think is a +1 for Cydonia there. So I think this one's really even, but when you take that Harrison and you compare it to the next matchup, like you said, the Cthulhu Warrior, that's where the Harrison's going to shine.
Yep.
And so even if Cydonia picks up this game, he's still got that one potential tech card that can turn it around.
Yeah, especially if it lands on a Gorehowl or something. So Cydonia is definitely not out of the woods. He's got a huge grind fest to go through to try and make it there. But he's off to a good start, having Wild Growth in his hand.
Yeah, both players leading with Wild Growth here, but Jason has got
Innervate Emperor.
Yep, and that's pretty good. Cydonia actually going to answer it. It's not going to be the best play ever here from Jason. It's not discounting massively significant things.
Yeah, it's only getting 2 discounts.
The thing about it is it's forcing action from Cydonia here. He's going to have to give up a Moonfire if he wants to take out this 5-5. And honestly, more importantly than the discount is just the fact that he would be taking 5 damage repetitively.
Yeah, I think, honestly, from this position, even after the Wild Growth into Innervate Emperor, I still would favor the Cydonia's hand at this point, just because Jason's out of fuel. If he doesn't top deck next turn, he's literally doing nothing.
Yep, Cydonia gonna use Feral Rage instead of Swipe Moonfire, so really looking towards the later turns where Moonfire gets activated by Malygos. And Fandral, not too bad.
Yeah.
He's forced to hold the Living Roots here, though. It would be a complete throwaway. Got to use that. And Cydonia, when he sees the Fandral here, what does he read the rest of this hand as? Because that was right off the top.
Yeah, it's really tough to say. You don't get too much information about the hand at all. You're obviously super afraid of the potential Nourish. When you see your opponent aggressively Emperor, you can't really put any idea of what their hand is. You just know they're
having a good draw right now. And I think this is the window of opportunity for Cydonia. And here he gets the Mire Keeper, and Ragnaros is coming down the following turn. But if he could find a way to answer that, which Innervate can very much answer that.
What, Innervate the Ancient of War?
Well, what I'm saying is that he could go into the Malygos turn after the Ragnaros is played. If the Malygos lives, then he's got Swipe.
What if the Malygos doesn't live?
That's probably a risk he's going to have to take in a turn or so. And honestly, making the 2-2 here is kind of a big deal, because now the Ragnaros has multiple targets.
It's a good counterplay against Rag, and he knows he doesn't need the mana acceleration because I think he's already set up that he's going to Innervate Malygos next turn.
Jason going to trim into those targets to try to ensure that Ragnaros lives as long as possible.
8 face damage. Cydonia's health total getting pretty low.
Is that a Moonfire? Oh my.
He can kill the Ragnaros.
Oh, you absolutely kill the Ragnaros.
Oh yeah, every time. Jason has 1 Mulch in his deck, but if he doesn't have it, Malygos is here to stay. And if he does have it, you have Ancient of War.
This is a big turn for Cydonia. Jason is going to be at the mercy of his next draw and at the mercy of a Raven Idol Discovery.
The Innervate's a really good pickup, allowing him to potentially remove the Malygos and
Mulch! That's a big one.
Yeah, and he can get the Arcane Giant out too. That was the perfect top deck and the perfect Raven Idol.
Onyx Bishop. That could res the Malygos.
You can't swipe with it though. You're a couple mana short. Oh man. Can you afford just to take 8 to risk trying to get your Malygos back?
I think you just Ancient of War.
Okay. And then next turn, go for
the Ancient of War is contesting the Arcane Giant right now. So unless Jason wants to use this Moonfire, well, now he's got Living Roots to do it. So scratch that plan. But now either way, Cydonia has an opportunity to return the kill onto this Arcane Giant. And when Jason plays nothing here, he gets a much more clear image of what this card is in Jason's hand. At this point, it is somewhere in the neighborhood of Yogg-Saron or
Swipe,
or Moonfire or Innervate.
Yeah,
Onyx Bishop was a huge pickup. Even just a 5-5 is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent amount of development onto the board. It's not quite a Malygos, but it is a pretty decent minion.
That was 5 mana, 8 power. It's pretty good.
Yeah, 5 mana, 8/9.
What to do?
Now debating on whether or not the Swipe of the Wrath. I'd really like the Swipe here, just so you can save Wrath for potentially cycling it in the future. It is the top deck.
I do actually agree with that. I think that being able to cycle right now is a very important facet. The one time I think he gets punished by that is if Jason has Azure Drake off the top, then he doesn't have as clean of an answer to it.
I still think it's worth it.
I agree that it's worth it, and I think that it's because both players' resources are so low. The first player to find Nourish in this spot That could really tip the scales.
Just gonna hold on to his swipe though. Just wants to be able to have that swipe for face
Now, I'm
damage.
curious, does the swipe affect his time to kill at all? So he's going to push 8 damage on the following turn. That drops Jason to 22. Arcane Giant comes down. He represents 16 points of damage plus the swipe plus a hero power. So if he draws any source of damage alongside the swipe, he's actually got a 2-turn time to kill if everything's stable.
Okay. Reasonable. Could I guess try and set up the long-term plan of just prioritizing swipe for face damage by Cydonia. So looking to try and end this soon. That could help.
Yep, it's Arcane Giant.
Both swipes are gone from Jason,
Yep.
right? So the 1/1s are actually quite powerful here. I'd like to see Cydonia develop them.
Now, if he holds, does that send any message over to Jason here?
You could be pretending to play around Yogg, but I mean, at this point, you know what Jason's hand is, and he just kind of has to Yogg if he has it anyway. The Malagos drawn, that could be huge, helping him able to potentially clean up the Giant.
Does he have to set up on the Arcane Giant this turn with Wrath?
Yep.
And that will be very telling of Jason's hand at that point then. Why on earth would he Wrath an Arcane Giant for 3? In case he's got Malagos Moonfire or Malagos Living Roots, it would be a Wrath to draw in that situation. So honestly, if this Arcane Giant gets Wrath for 3, I think Cydonia has an opportunity to just make that read straight up.
I still think you have to do it.
I agree.
There's not really any other line of play here for Jason. He's kind of backed into a corner.
You Feral Rage to gain armor in this spot instead of hero power.
You could Feral Rage to kill the 3/3. Because if you gain 8 armor, you're expecting the 3/3 to deal 6 damage to you in that time. So I kind of like just killing it, unless you feel like that you're in need of actually dying.
Malagos will contest the 3/3 the turn after, so...
Yeah, but then you have a % chance your Malagos can get answered by the minion presence.
Nourish gets returned. Cydonia is looking great for this one. I think he's taking the win here.
He's going to be able to get an additional spell and an additional minion. This Vandrel's combination with Raven Idol here.
Just take the base one.
Yeah, not the greatest things, but in a top deck war, the highest value usually wins. So taking the Menagerie Warden, 5/5 is not too bad in stats.
It's like Sylvanas.
Just like a Sylvanas. Wild growth cycles for a card, so is swipe or an extra card better? I think swipe's better almost every time.
I definitely think so.
Yeah. He's got 10 burst damage in hand now.
Jason's on the test. Malagos Moonfire to try to clean things up. And when Cydonia sees this, is he worried at all? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 total damage available this turn for Cydonia.
Well, with both swipes already have been used, there's not really a great way that Malagos can do anything. Because like really what you're looking to do is swipe him in the face, clear the entire board, and suddenly Jason would be in a fantastic position, but he's got no swipes remaining, so I can't see him flipping the board like that.
So it's between the Menagerie Warden and the Azure Drake then. What would he be wanting to dig to?
Well, you could potentially still kill the Malagos and win, but I really like the development now.
Well,
that's a 5
it's a much easier way to kill the Malagos.
Yeah. You can't quite kill it super conveniently. Still think it's totally fine to ignore it. Yep. I like this. I like this a lot. Just putting the damage into the vase and
put him to the test. It's going to drop him down to 4. And with swipe hero power, unless Jason can end the game here or extend his life total, Cydonia has set up a lethal here.
That's a card that could make something happen, but he's going to need to kill the Azure Drake, play the Ancient of War. Hero power and not attack me on the living room.
Cydonia has already got an answer for that.
Yeah, he has enough damage to push through with the Wrath in his hand. So he's going to be going to a Game 7.
Wow. Jason recognizes not to attack the minion either, to try to play around swipe. But Cydonia's got it all. 7 games, every single match that you and I have been a part of. 7 games. I love it.
It's been pretty intense. It's been pretty intense. And there's been a lot of upsets, too, along the matches. A lot of players, you know, getting in awkward situations and bad matchups and then figuring out ways to make it out, which has been really interesting and enjoyable to watch.
It's been so close. So close every single way. It's always just a few cards that separate them, it seems. So Cydonia, once again, finding himself in a winning situation. It's going to come down to the last game. His Cthulhu Warrior versus this Druid build.
I would have to give Cydonia, you know, maybe a 2 or 3% disadvantage at this state. So it's very, very close right now.
Come down to whoever's got the long-term plans and whether or not the tech cards come into play. Game number 7 to find out who's moving on to the top 8 is coming up right after this. Wow. After all the play that's happened, after all the magnificent overall game plans, the tiny little decisions that are making the big differences in this game, it comes down to one final game.
Yeah, and Jason has a slight advantage. He has the tech in there to help him out in this matchup. He's got the Harrison Jones in there, and he's got a lot of top end in this Druid build. It's going to be tough for Cydonia to combat this.
Yeah, what kind of difference does it make when you add in just that one extra threat? I mean, normally it's the 2 Arcane Giants, the Malagos, and the Ragnaros. But now there's also that Ancient of War.
Well,
there's still the Yogg in here.
Yeah, if you look at it, Jason has 6 threats, assuming Yogg doesn't kill itself. 6 threats in his deck. And Cydonia has 4 single target removals. That means 2 of the threats need to get swapped up in a brawl, which gives Jason the ability a lot of times to just bomb chain one big minion at a time and actually completely exhaust Cydonia out of single target removal. So it can get very difficult for the warrior to win. One of the best ways to tech your deck against control warriors or control decks in general is just have one more threat than they have answers for.
Yes, but now that's where the kicker comes in, because this isn't just a regular control warrior. This is the Cthulhu control warrior, and so Cthulhu is an answer.
Yeah.
Ancient Shield Bearers sometimes are answers.
Exactly.
Twin Emperor could be an answer, and he's got the Gorehowl.
So if the Druid gets off to a slow start, and the Cthulhu Warrior is able to kind of keep up with it and start pushing ahead on those power turns with the Twin Emperors and gain tempo, then all of the minions become responses to the bombs. But if you're behind in tempo, none of your minions are responses to bombs because they play a bomb. You would have to develop a minion into it, they punch you in the face with the minion, then you can answer, and that's just too slow. So it's going to be really important for Cydonia to try and get something on the board and try and be on the board. And with the way the curves are lining up right now, Cydonia is on the board.
Jason missing his 2.
Cydonia landing his 2, the only 2-drop in the entire deck.
Yep. Fiery War Axe is kind of a 2.
Okay, sure. I'll give you that one.
But when you go Beckoner into Acolyte of Pain into Cthulhu's Chosen,
you gotta be feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, now he doesn't have to worry about the 10 power buff the whole time. He's got strong presence on the board. I think this is Cydonia favored from the onset.
From the beginning, for sure. But the matchup in general, overall, it leans more towards the Druid. But Jason's got his work cut out for him. Having double Nourish is super good in this matchup, though. Nourish is one of the highest value cards in the game, just as it 3-for-1s your opponent by drawing 3 cards.
Fiery War Axe, very clean answer. And Jason, one of the things that there's a big benefit of Druid in the Warrior matchups is they're often not under any pressure at all for the early stages. Here, it's not much, but 3 damage turn after turn will put you in some awkward spots if Cydonia has strong drops to follow it up.
Sure, but overall they don't really have too consistently the drops to follow it up to pressure you down. So I like the decision by Jason of just going for the draw instead of overreacting, going for crystals to try and fight back for the board immediately. I like just drawing off the Nourish, cycling your deck, sticking to what Druid does, and not panicking at this board state. But it is accumulating.
It's gone from 3 power to 7 power.
And he's got Justicar, which 6-3 body is oftentimes laughable, but when it's backing up all of this against a Druid, it's not too bad of a minion.
Emperor gonna hit here. It's pretty significant on the discounts. Of course, Moonfire's not the ideal targets for it. This Emperor, honestly, to me, seems more like it's because Jason is so far behind than it is because this Emperor is a big enabler here.
Well, a lot of times you want Emperor to set up for your ability to deal upwards of 26 to 35 damage with your Malagos, and this Emperor did not set up for that to happen. It's not really building any sort of Malagos combo from Jason. It's just, as you said, just desperation, trying to discount his hand so he can fight back on the board. One of the key things it does is allow Fandral and Nourish to come down in the same turn, which could be extremely powerful for helping swing the board while also cycling your deck.
Yep, so Cydonia going to lead with the Divine Shield and say that Ravaging Ghoul is enough to add to the board. Picks up a card draw, and still a healthy board state. And that's a good pickup.
Yeah, a great way to respond to potential Ragnaros. Great way to respond to potential Ancient of Wars, and just one of the better minions in the deck for Cydonia at this time for sure.
Jason's hand is awfully heavy.
And full. Already up to 10 cards in his hand. So if he does go for Fandral Nourish, he would overdraw. But he'll have that available to him at a later state in the game. Just going to be doing a little bit of cleanup now.
And he's going to hope that Cydonia slows down after this. But it's not going to slow down. He's got plenty of threats to back this up.
The worst nightmare now is that if Twin Emperors comes down right on curve on turn 7 after all of this early pressure, Druid just has not great ways to potentially deal with that. So really hoping that doesn't come down.
This is still pretty bad.
Yeah, still, like, this is the second nightmare. This is what you don't want. You don't want to be facing down a 6/6 because the body of it is pretty good against Druid. Oftentimes they have to mulch it. Cydonia's just face warrioring him down with Cthulhu Warrior.
Well, honestly, it's kind of taken on a Dragon Warrior role where it's just playing stuff on curve and attacking a lot.
Yeah, and that's the position you really, really want to be in as the Cthulhu Warrior, because that's when your minions actually become removal for these threats that you don't have enough removal for.
I remember back in the old Control Warrior days, Shield Bearer was a big problem for the Druids. That was kind of the way that you won, is you got Shield Bearer on curve.
Looking to stray away from the Nourish here, it looks like. He wants to be holding on to these Moonfires, so he's taking the time to be able to do that instead of going for the Nourish for the cycle here.
He needed to clear the board here as well. It was
too much damage.
Yep. So Cydonia, first time the board state has not been in his favor.
Yeah, he's taking a step back a little bit here. I like continuing the aggression, honestly. I'd say slam another 6/6, get the shield slam out there, show him who's boss, keep on the game plan.
What now?
There's a lot of alternatives here, though.
Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. He's already gotten so many resources from Jason at this point that
maybe he could just change gears, sit back.
Yeah, and so I think this turn this is the probably last real aggressive push from Cydonia. If he sees this kind of get checked, I think that's when he changes gears, slows down, says, you know what, I have a ton of armor, I've gotten a lot of resources from Jason. I'll sit back on my Justicar, sit back on my Brawl, and wait for my inevitability.
It's an expensive resource to expend, too, for this last final push. He had to use a Shield Slam, which, as we've been talking about, one of those premium removals that you kind of need.
And it was used on Fandral.
Yeah, and he used on
Giant.
Not an essential minion from the Druid deck, so that could end up actually biting him a little bit down the line. Maybe that was the time where he was supposed to bail out of this aggressive line of play.
It's going to be Ragnaros. And I can tell you what, Jason is not looking forward to Ragnaros hitting face. He needs to hit this Shield Bearer. I mean, is there a play other than Sylvanas here?
Not really.
Sylvanas kill the 1/1s?
Yeah, Sylvanas kill the 1/1. Sylvanas potentially send the 6 damage to face. You're very close to getting the kill, especially if you get a Ragnaros.
You need to kill the 1/1s because the Sylvanas could then steal a 1/1.
I think one of the main hopes you have is that the Rag just doesn't hit the Sylvanas, and then you can then Brawl the following turn and just take whatever comes out. Try and guarantee a Rag steal. Or...
So is that damage then worth...
The damage is worth a lot right now. When your opponent's at 24 and you're a Cthulhu Warrior with Cthulhu in your deck, the damage is definitely worth a lot.
He's going to choose to tank it and execute.
Saves Sylvanas to answer something else another day. Keeps the 6/6 pushing.
He's just playing Justicar then? Yeah.
Okay. Still just going off with an aggressive route here, just making sure he can keep his minions alive. And using removal a lot for tempo rather than for value. So still playing very tempo-oriented as the Cthulhu Warrior. It's been working so far. He's hoping to continue that game plan. And, you know, oftentimes when you have a game plan that starts working, the best route is to continue sticking to that working game plan.
Does he have the resources in hand to back it up? And I guess if not, he's got the fallback of the tank up. Every single turn that Jason spends having to answer this.
Well, the thing that gets scary is he's running out of single target removal. You know, we've seen the Shield Slam, we've seen the Execute. There's still this Arcane Giant, there's a Malagos, there's a Yogg, 3 threats in Jason's hand. And on the following turns, he's going to be able to remove using this Malagos plus the Moonfire and just keep bomb training these threats.
Now the Execute was used on a proper target.
Sure, the proper target, but still the Shield Slam, that's haunting him right now.
It's a second brawl.
You got to deploy the Sylvanas, right? You can eat the Giant, it's totally fine.
I don't know. See, I figure if you're going to use the Sylvanas the way that he did, that he would have used Sylvanas in the Rag turn.
Sure.
Kill off the 2/1/1s.
Yeah.
Let the Rag do what the Rag's going to do, and then figure out how your Sylvanas creates such massive board tension that Jason has to respect this.
I think that would have been better, but I think now, you know, that ship sailed. Let's just play the Sylvanas now. It's still going to get pretty good value on this board. We can make something happen. It's pretty awkward for Jason. He probably might. He has the ability to, you know, build treants into it. Or he's just going for the Yogg here. He doesn't want to lose the tempo.
Yogg's one of the weaker minions in this matchup.
Okay.
And here he has an opportunity to really get some strong value out of it. Eye for an Eye and Confuse are not going to be the strongest.
It's a 7/9.
Well, nothing really happened so much yet. This is not getting the job done so far.
Oh, he gets another one, though.
Wow.
Okay.
Gets another Yogg, then blows up the board and draws 3 cards.
Adding more power to his deck is definitely something that you want to be doing, and now he's getting to that position where he can outvalue Cydonia. Cydonia's been playing the tempo game all game, just tempo, tempo, tempo. Is that enough? It's not quite enough.
There's a mulch on the other side.
There's a mulch on the other side, and it's not going to do enough damage to really close anything out. It's
really
only
not
10.
that big. I mean, I'm going for it, but
Procs the Eye for an Eye, so he gets that out of the way. Cydonia still has a lot of direct damage remaining in his deck. He has the Fiery War Axe for 6, the Gore Howl for another 7, so 13 damage remaining on his side, but he's staring down the Moonglade portal potential.
it'll be mulch portal for sure.
Yeah, and Jason's going to be in a very safe spot. Sea Giant, extremely good minion going into the later stages here.
Just a big thing.
Yeah, that's all you really want out of the mulch. Something else that they kind of want to mulch again, basically.
5/4's pretty awkward, too. That's not an easy kill for Cydonia right now.
Yeah, it's not a great minion, but it'll get the job done.
He's really contemplating this Force nature.
It does overextend. There's 2 brawls on the side for Cydonia, so it's quite a gamble.
Force nature.
I guess
2 2s.
it gets a brawl out of the way.
He's trying to turn resources that are not big threats into ways to take removal from Cydonia. And right now, since so much removal's been used, I think he's looking at this and going, if I get a brawl here, I'm pretty happy with it.
Sure. I mean, Force of Nature is almost always going to get brawled, right?
There's also the Redemption on board, so the Redemption's going to bring back
the 5/4.
Yep.
Yeah, I can get behind that play.
And then Harrison mops up the axe. Jason's putting together an assault here.
Well, do you want to Harrison the Axe? There's still the threat of that Gore Howl in the deck.
I think he needs gas.
He's got Malagos still.
Yeah, he's not playing the Malagos right now.
Why?
Execute.
One's been used, one Shield Slam's been used. Your opponent needs exactly Execute.
There you go, Arcane Giant.
Well, now that you have the Arcane Giant and the Brawl's been baited out, yes. Now you can wait for the Living Roots because you have the alternative gas.
This will be second brawl for Cydonia, but 2 of these targets are not very good. I gotta wonder if Cydonia played this a bit too aggressively.
12 cards remaining in his deck. He's getting closer towards, you know, the Emperor to make the Brand Doomcaller happen. 2 cards remaining for Jason. He will have all of the threats in his deck ready to go. And Yogg becomes a liability.
At a certain point, yeah. It can, certainly can.
It's going to be potentially drawing him cards into fatigue.
Is he going for...
It's the brawl.
He's going for the win on the brawl.
He gives himself kind of 3 favorable outcomes. As long as the Giant doesn't win, he's in a very comfortable position here. And the Giant wins! Holy smokes. Now he's under a lot of heat. That's going to be 8 coming at him. The Moonfire coming in for 6. The Living Roots coming in for 7.
That might be game. I mean, there is nothing left that directly answers these in Cydonia's deck. He can't activate the Execute if he draws it. He doesn't have the armor to use Shield Slam right now.
Yeah, he's out of those precious removals, and you got to look back at, was the tempo of killing the Fandral worth the exhaust of the Shield Slam?
And there's the Shield Slam.
It's just a little bit too late to make anything happen, and it's
12-13. He can't even live through this turn. He's actually just dead.
He was so close with that tempo line of play that he took.
I think he went too aggressively on it.
I think so. That turn when he went in with the Shield Slam Fandral, he could have shifted gears. That's when he should. That's the moment in the game we can look back at, and that's when he was supposed to just back off and play Cthulhu Warrior.
Jason now knows that he has won the game. Jason's going to be the first player to move on to the top 8 of BlizzCon, a 7-game set versus Cydonia, where he walks away the winner after a shaky opening in game number 7.
Well, honestly, he was super unfavored lineups going into it, and he played fantastically. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
He really navigated his way through tough matchups to be able to win this one.
It was just such good play. I mean, every step of the way, he was recognizing how each card changed the situation. So Cydonia will be dropping down to the decider match where he'll face the winner of Handsome Guy versus Tice. But Jason Joe, your first participant to make it through. Raven is standing by with an interview with the winner.
Thanks a lot, Admirable. Congratulations, Jason. It must have been well, it looked like a pretty tense series from my side. You got off to a really great start, but then it got a little bit tricky towards the end. Were you at some points a little bit worried that the great start was not going to be enough to take the series?
Yeah, I think I always worry about Maju. I have some match Maju has a very good start, but in the foreign it just draw very bad. And after I lose 3 Drew games, I was totally worried about Maju draw wars again. But in the final match, I get luck. The brawl saved me, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really close series overall. But, you know, the main question now is you are through to the top 8 at BlizzCon. You will be playing next week. How does that feel to be done so early? And you can take some time to relax and really work out for the BlizzCon coming up.
I think I still need to do a lot of preparation. I need to see what other 7 players are and prepare the right 5 decks and do some research, I think. In fact, I was planning to travel a bit, but since I win and go to the top 8, I think I don't need time to do that.
Yeah, you're going to be very busy leading up to next week, but congratulations again. We are going to be moving on to the next series very shortly, which is going to be Chon